and you're watching my live painting demo of converting this value study into a colored painting. Now, I always do a value study before I go into my final painting. This is a great way, to understand where the lights and darks are and if you want to modify something out of it. So my reference was this one, okay? And this is going to be kept on the side again to, refer and, check out the colors. But this is going to be the main uh, reference which I'm going to be using, to find out whether the colors are matching the value or not. Now, what I basically am using today is gouache. I'm going to be doing this whole painting with gouache. And I'm using the Pebeo gouache. You can check out uh, the review. It's a very budget-friendly gouache. And it's great if you're just starting out. And you can check the entire review on my page. Now I'm going to be using this as my reference. Now, why a value study is really important, because then you don't need the reference as such to understand the colors, and you could also alter the colors if you wish. And how would you do that? Like, you could go with greens or something of that sort. So let's see whether I stick with the same color palette or not. We'll just check that out. Now here, I'll just talk about this 1 second. So here I've done actually a 4 value study. So we have the dark colors, we have the dark midtones, we have the light midtones, and we have the highlights. Okay, that's how it is. So we can see that the cherries is basically between the darks, midtones, and the dark shadows. And on the highlight side, we have the mid lights as well as the lightest lights, as I would say. Okay, so now we are going to be there. The reason why I have put two is there's going to be warms and cools. The cools could be the greens or the blues. Again, over here it could be lights, which could be warm as well as cool colors. Okay, so we're going to be just shifting a few things here so that this is in focus. And I think I'm going to bring this here. Okay, so we're going to be just shifting this on the side, but I'm going to be using that as my reference, as well as for the colors I can come on this, but this is not such an important thing over here. The most important thing is the value study. So we're going to be starting off with lighter and diluted washes. Okay, and I think I'll start with the cherries. So for the cherries, we have the darker tones over here, we have the mid darks over here, or the mid tones which are darker, and we're going to be sticking with that. So mixing in a nice I'll be needing some water on my gouache because it's kind of dried out. Yeah, so we're going with the darks first. So for the darks, I'm mixing in a bit of the phthalo turquoise. It makes lovely violets. Can you see this violet? You're mixing the rose with the phthalo green. It makes a beautiful violet. You should try it out. It's a lovely color. And at the moment, I'm going really diluted. I don't want to go in, with a lot of color. We just want to place in the color now. And this is going to be following. Okay, so we're going to go with and we have okay, doing the same thing on the next one, and I'm constantly referring to my value study. At the moment it is not as dark, as it should be, but it's kind of good. Just washing my brush and going in with the darker, bluish. And for that, I'm using the cyan blue and a bit of the purple. It's going to make a nice. Now, I really feel that this set should have a bit, at least one more blue, like the ultramarine blue, because the blue is kind of the light blue. So I have darkened that color with, I would say burnt umber. Yeah, I've used burnt umber to darken it. And this is the area where we need to add it. That's it. I'm going to be taking in some more blue with a touch of that red. It's kind of diluted only. Yeah. I'm going to be shifting to a bigger brush for the background. And I forgot to remove white. So I usually do not remove white in this. I remove white on the side because then, it becomes easier to mix and it doesn't get spoiled. So I've got the white out. And I'm going to be diluting the blue with a touch of the white. Trying not to go too light over here. And if you have any doubt, with the colors, you can always do one thing is, now we can check over here and squint. If it still feels a little dark, you can add in a little white. And we can just check it again. It's still quite dark. We could take in a little more white. And yeah, that's quite better. So now what I'm going to be doing is, I'm going to be again diluting this. And at the moment, I'm just going to be applying a single color, okay? Holding my brush at its rear end with a lot of diluted paint. We're just going to be filling it up. Now, if there's an underpainting, you have the benefit of having an underpainting, then you could leave spots for the color to be, underpainting color to be visible. But since we don't have it, it's okay. The next layer will cover up if there are any white spots remaining. Okay. And it doesn't matter if there are some kind of overlaps, that's perfectly fine because we are going to be having another layer. We've kind of just filled this up. Okay. Now I'm just washing my brush and wiping off the cool color. And I'm going in with a smaller brush to fill in these cherries. Now the cherries, as we can see, I have to keep shifting this. So yes, this is what we're going ahead with. And you know what we can do is, we can now try the reds. So for the reds, I'm mixing in the magenta with a little bit of that, because I want that cherry red, okay? So I'm taking in. What I'm going to be doing is, I'm going to be trying it out here, because that's the color. And squint, it still looks quite light. So I'm going to be adding in more of the magenta and a touch of the violet. And we're going to be checking it again. And it looks kind of better. Again, going in with diluted color. And at present we are not looking for variations. We are just putting in color. We'll add variations later on. Okay. Just filling in without any blending. This is the block-in stage where we're just blocking in the color, putting color everywhere. That's the basic purpose. Now we're going in with the stem. And with the stem, we need a thinner brush. Yep, here it is. So what we're going to be doing is, I'm going to be using a liner brush, and we're going to be mixing a nice green. Okay. It's a nice dark green. And this is going to be diluted with water. The first layer is going to be just covering up the white, so it's quite diluted. There's a lot of water in there. And what we're going to be doing is, now I'm going to be seeing where okay, and even on this one, it doesn't have so much, so we leave it at that. Yeah, and we need a slightly lighter green. The highlights I'm not doing now. I'll just add in a little bit over here, but I'm going to be sticking with the highlights in the end, which is going to be really dark and really chromatic. It's going to be having the thin and here also we're going to be adding. Hey Abra, how are you? So wonderful you could join in, Abra. So good to see you. Actually, it's wonderful that we could chat again over here. So now, so we've kind of covered up the whole area. And we're going in with a little diluted be just adding in some diluted color just to show that there is some kind of a highlight over here. Okay, now we've done the first layer, which is the color blocking stage, and now we want to transform it into something so vibrant like this. So what are we going to do is we're going to be now adding in color which is more thicker, which has more variations. Okay, so now we are not going to be using the large brush, or we could use the large brush in the end for the background, but for this cherry we're going to be going in with my smaller brush. Okay, and we're going to be mixing in a lot of good darker colors over here. So for the darker colors, I'm going in with red. We're going in with the same colors that we had, but now we're going to be making them more vibrant, and they're going to be more thicker as compared to the watery part. Okay, so we're going to be going with more, and you can always check them out over here. So what I'm going to be doing is, this is the darker area. Is it dark enough? And just squint, and yes, it looks kind of nice. So when I put on the black and white filter on my phone over here, it should feel the same, which we're going to be trying in the end. That's great, Arbor. That's wonderful. Congratulations. So now we're going to be adding in. And can you see now it's quite opaque? This is kind of quite opaque. And yeah, now we're going to go in with the reds. And we're going to be adding in the reds over here. It's nice and juicy. Now, if you feel that the color looks, do let me know when your birthday is. Do write it in the comments. I'm going to be wishing you on your birthday. Going in with a little bit of more darker red here, because I just feel that it's quite... Oh, it's Jan 8th. Oh, you're like me. I start announcing my birthday every time 3 to 4 months earlier. Okay. So you've got a nice, vibrant, juicy, opaque color going on over here. And now it's time for the reds. And I'm going in with cadmium red. The color has to be opaque and it has to have very little water in your second layer. We've got a nice blending happening over there. Now we're going to leave this part like this, and we're going to be shifting over to the background and the shadow. And I'll tell you why, because I want this area to dry up a bit before I add in some thick color. I don't want it to mix around. Or maybe if we could, I think we'll just go ahead with that. Sorry, we'll just go ahead and add in some kind of adding in some, I think I'm going to go in with, and though because of the light, you can't see it, we are going to be blending a bit, over here. Yeah. Sorry about that. And we're going in with the highlights in the end, so we let that dry now. Now coming back to the blue, I'm going to be using the larger brush, and again it's now time to add in, 1 second, this shadow over here. There's a very little water. That's good. Nice shadows. And we're going to be adding in that's kind of nice. Now I'm going to be mixing in some really nice blues for the background, okay? And I need some more blue because my blue is, I'm out of blue. Sorry about that. Got some blue out. And now we're going to be mixing in some nice blue, but I'm just going to wipe off the old, so I can mix something nice over here. Yeah. Just damping my brush over here and taking in a lot of blue. Now we could go with a really vibrant blue, but I'm going to go with a slightly muted blue. Just a touch of burnt umber in it. And we're going to be checking that out over here. And that looks kind of good. But I need a large quantity over here because I need it to cover a large area. So you should not run out of it. Yeah, so we've got nice color over here. And we are going to be covering up areas just the way we had it over here, where we're going to be now being very careful to cover up all the whites. Just moving this away. And we can now leave certain areas like this. It's okay. Also, I feel we can add in some kind of variation. I like that variation. Okay. I want to add in that lighter color here, more white, I guess. A touch of yellow also maybe. And you can do these variations, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I like that. It's got a nice color. Maybe we can also add this over here. A bit. Now this variation is going to look really nice. Okay. Now we need to wipe this off, otherwise, it'll lighten the entire color. Now we're going in with the darker color, just blending it here. Yeah. Yeah, that needs a little blending more. So just going to go with this color. And fill up now. This doesn't have any water in it, so that's why you can see that it's quite opaque. And if it feels too dry, you can add a touch of water. I messed up my drawing over here, so I just corrected that too. And the last layer is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be keeping this like this. We still have the stems, to add in more layer in the stems. I just feel it needs, sorry about that. I just feel it needs more light over here. And we need some more lights over here. Maybe taking some more white, and yeah, that looks better. Definitely much better. So we've got this done. Now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be adding in this and maybe need some more shadows, I guess, darker shadows. Now painting, you have to keep checking whether you're getting, it has to be relative to the other one. Okay. Also take a thinner brush, a little bit of the water, and yeah. Yeah, that's better. That's more organic. I like this now. So this is kind of good. could also have more pure reds, which are as you see, there are more layers. It adds in good amount of depth. I'm going to be just wiping this off really well. Maybe take another brush because I want a clean brush for the highlights over here. Now I'm going to take blue and I'm going to be adding in the highlight because I want that light of that blue reflecting over here. Yeah. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting it here, and we have okay. Now this definitely is too stark and it's needs to be blended in. So what is this? I do something which is called break make and break. So for make and break, you are going to break that okay. Again, you're going to be taking some water and you're going to be breaking that. And you get that light, really shining bright. Again, you could take that and make it. Now take some pure white and just dab it. That's nice. Also take some pure red. And yeah. So now because of the light you can see that it's like really light dark, but when you see it in like this without the light falling over it, you can see that it's a lovely okay. Now because of the wetness you can see it really shine too much, but once it dries off I'm going to be telling you it doesn't look that bad. In fact, it's going to look really good. Also for this we're going to be taking in some more white again, and we are going to be adding it. Can you see how beautiful that looks now? Also we have it here. Now areas where you feel there's what do you call too many white spots, you can always go ahead and we have So now for that blue also, I think I'm going to go in and cover it up. And we could also go in with some darker colors, you know, where we want now the contrast to be like really showing. So I'm going in over here with the darker color. So the darks over here. And there is some dark over here too. Yeah. Trying to cover up, you know, those white areas. Oops. Adding in some more darks, I think. Just over here. Now just look at that. And you know what? We can do one thing is we can use this and we can blend it. Again, we can just wipe it off. Take some red, a bit of yellow maybe, and blend it out. And how do you blend it out? You just take yeah. Can you see how beautifully that shines? I think I'm going to let this blue also show over here. I'm going to take in that blue and add it over here. Why not? Maybe a little more lighter. Yeah, that would be nice. So we've got this. We can also blend it. Having, you know, I like to do it with my fingers too. And that's nice. And yeah, I think we're done with this today. So we've got this over here, and we've got this. And let's see if we can try black and white. I don't know whether we can do a black and white over here, but I'll share it in the post where we can show, you know, how the colors really look. We have this really well. Maybe just, I think, some more lights on the here. Yeah. And here. A bit here. Maybe just a teeny weeny bit. Yeah, I think this is good now. We should let that be before going overboard. Yeah, I think this is perfect for now. And that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the live, and whoever could just join in and watch it. And if you paint it, you can share it on Instagram and tag me. From gray to gorgeous, that's going to be this hashtag, gray to gorgeous. And just how important a value study is to get the perfect values, the lights and the darks in a proper range. Thank you so much for joining in today. It was wonderful having you online with me, painting together, chatting with you. Bye bye. Take care. Love you. See you again next Saturday for more art magic on Conversations with Canvas. Bye bye.